Hi, how's it going? Uh, Let me see. Today I'm actually holding my Canon T3i again. um, I'm actually using my tripod to get this done. Um, well, the advantage of my tripod is that it turns into a monopod, so there's that. Let's start with the not so easy stuff, um, which it's not easy actually. Well, I already said it, it's not so easy. I had a fallout, and I was on a 90-day abstinence challenge. I was on a 90-day abstinence challenge, and yeah, I didn't complete it. Fell short by a month. And what kind of abstinence you're talking about? Just sugary abstinence in general. Like I was trying to just stay away from all like sweets and all that stuff, and yeah, it didn't work out so well. Failed. So I'm gonna try it again. Well, actually, no. That's not true. So let me explain what I'm gonna do, because it was a huge experience, not in a good way. Felt like crap. Um, I did feel like a loser. Also, it felt a lot different with the way sugar entered my body. It felt more like poison, and it just wasn't pleasant anymore. So, man, I just chose to change that, and well, here it is. I'm gonna do a new challenge, one where I'm gonna do something a lot more different, because I'm noticing that it's not just sugar the only thing I'm falling um, short on. It's other aspects of my life, and I'm being quite affected by this. So what I'm gonna do is something I learned. I learned this from a book called Flow, and it's all about the pursuit of optimal happiness, actually. And the good thing about the ways it's described is that there is no right or wrong way to achieve happiness in life. But you can do just about whatever practice you want, whether it's praying, meditation, yoga, Buddhism, you name it. The only thing that you have to focus on is the fact that when you're practicing um, these aspects, the goal is the same. Wow, there's so many leaves around here. Okay, this is how you know fall is in the house. This is how you know the summer's over. So anyway, back to the book. The book emphasizes that if you're gonna be practicing something along the lines of um, what I just think is discipline, like they call it emotion. People call it emotional intelligence. Some people call it um, actually I call it discipline. Some other people call it emotional intelligence. This guy, his name I cannot pronounce. Like I'm gonna probably put it as a subtitle somewhere because his name is really difficult to pronounce, and I'm not even kidding. It really is difficult. If you read that name, I dare you to say it. And what this guy suggests that we're pursuing is control consciousness, which in and of itself is like discipline. Is the ability to just break out from like the constraint of both social and oh crap, I just completely forgot. It was social and instinctive impulses. So you know, like controlling your urges, cravings, desires. Basically saying mind over body and all matter. So with that in mind, I really just I've read like several books already where this concept is just described in different ways, which, like I said, some people call it discipline, some people call it emotional intelligence, some people call it neurological programming. whichever the case might be, uh, the story is still the same. Like you gotta be able to control your decision making process, and additionally, you determine when and how your emotions are gonna take control of any decision you take from here on out, which to me is an astounding feat to complete, given that my whole life, the one thing I was just challenged to over accomplish, the number one thing for me has and always will be, apparently, no, that's not true. It has been discipline, and I take that to heart because since I was a kid, like I was always told by my parents, you need to be more disciplined. You need to be more disciplined. You have to have discipline. And I was thinking, okay, well, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean to be disciplined? Like, I always thought of discipline like as being rigid and like serious all the time, and like you can't have fun, and you can't do stuff that like normally you would do if you were like having relaxed, like having a good time. Like I don't think of back then. I didn't think of discipline as something fun, like something like it's worth doing. So I never ever tried it. Like try to be disciplined. And if I did, it was just to like play pretend. Like I would just like act as if I knew what I was doing. Like if I knew what I was doing in terms of being disciplined, like I would just like as a kid I would pretend. I'd be like all serious, like completely serious, and like all of a sudden like nobody will notice that I was like faking it. And then like the second that the session, like class or karate or whatever, it was over, like I was back to just being a kid. Uh, man. So the thing about that behavior is that I actually saw this on a Pokemon shirt or no picture. It was a picture. It was a picture of the first generation Pokemon. Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander. Damn right, I know my Pokemon. And it said like, oh, we didn't change, and it just like fast forwards to their final evolutions before the Mega Evolution became a thing and ruined everything. It just said like, yeah, we haven't changed. We just evolved. So like they're now like Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise playing on the Game Boy, and I'm like, that's pretty much what happened to me. Like I went from being an undisciplined child to being an undisciplined. Sorry, I went from being an undisciplined child to being an undisciplined adult, which sucks. I didn't I grew mature, but I didn't know like my lack of discipline actually was still a factor, or like it wasn't even present. Like I figured being mature and being disciplined go hand in hand, but it turns out they're not the same thing. Like they don't. Like being mature to some extent, it just means that you're tired of doing the same thing that you used to do as a youngster, so that you just don't try as hard. You don't do things as more, with that same effort, because you figure out like why try so hard when there is like another option? Like just a better like it's just a better way to do the same thing, or like an easier way to do the same thing, even if it's erroneous. So being disciplined means that you have to take control of every single thing and aspect that you have in your life. And that is so profound because I never took control of anything. I always allowed things to take control of me, and I was always, like going by the flow and like, letting somebody pressure me into something. And like it didn't have to be something terrible. It just had like I would just like fall into that, like like, or even if they didn't have to, like all they had to do was just like gather up in a group, say, oh, we're gonna go somewhere, or we're gonna go eat. Oh yeah, typical, like midnight run or whatever, and there's like a moment where somebody has to say it, right? Let's go get Jack in the Box, some like fast food joint open 24/7, and like, and we're were like, okay, let's do it. And then me, I would think to myself, nah, it's kind of late. But then, oh, everybody else is doing it. Why? Well, why not, right? Like, and more problems came from that aspect, and all because I just lacked the discipline to say, no, you know what, you guys can go. I'll chill back here and wait for you guys to come back, or something along the lines of that. I never did anything remotely close. So now now after reading about like I want to say like 5 books on just this topic alone, naming different ways, but still on the topic of discipline, I have just finally hit the point where now it's on me. Like I have to make sure that I'm not being undisciplined anymore. Like I am actually on point about my decision-making process, and that I am being both mature enough and conscious enough to know exactly what I'm doing and how I am doing it. Which it sounds really easy now, and it's like, oh, like like it sounds like you're finally coming to age. The thing is, I'm a little overdue for this. Like, in fact, like most of us are overdue. Like, there has to be something about being consciously aware of your decision-making process at a very early age. Like, you have to know this stuff early so that you're not, waiting for the door to hit you when you're like, working in some job or you're like on your dream job, and then you ruin it because you lack the discipline to, keep that job in place, because you're still trying to focus on, having too much fun or wondering if there is more to life. Do people know that like when somebody holds a camera on their face right now, like most likely they're vlogging? Ooh, they're playing Superstition. Superstition. I love that song. That song is awesome. I love Superstition. Oh, I can jam to this song all day long. Doesn't matter that my shoulder hurts. I'm jamming. Superstition. Writing's on the wall. There's superstitions. There's about to fall. Okay, I'm done. Okay, not so done. I'm sorry. The last thing I do, I don't care. Wait. I'm not going anywhere yet.